take a step back, take a clarity break, take a day, a half day, and ask yourself some hard questions. Kind of get outside of your head, leave your ego at the door, and really look down at your business and yourself with a vulnerability and an honesty about where your blind spots are and your deficiencies. And don't beat yourself up for your deficiencies, because you should be leaning into your strengths. Lean into where you add the most value and what will keep your cup full, your energy and your passion and your enthusiasm alive. And that's what's going to give you sustainable energy to add that value.
Welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by Netsertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. Netsertive's Madeline Park talked shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Art of Franchise Marketing. We've got a new one for you today. Justin Mink with EOS. I know we had talked to EOS probably a couple years ago, but so much has evolved since then, and you guys are a franchise now. Justin, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Madeline. It's great to be here.
So before we start, tell the people who you are, how you got into EOS, and now it's technically franchising, and you work with a lot of franchises. So, what was your pathway to that?
Gosh, long journey. I'm going to try to make a super long story as short as I can. I got started working with franchises long time ago, early 2000, like January 2007. I was working for a digital marketing agency called Reach Local, and they were doing SMB and partner business, and I was their first ever hire to go direct to national brands.
Wow.
From a sales capacity, and it turned into national or enterprise turned into franchises. So I've been working with franchises. I remember calling like the Molly Maids of the world in 2007, and you talk to a franchisee and say, there are 50,000 people in your market who looked on Google for home cleaning services, and you might hear back, oh, I don't know if this internet thing's going to work out or not. I'm good with my Yellow Pages double truck. So I've had a career in digital marketing working with franchises and kind of split that between entrepreneurship. I started a company in North Texas in 2013 with one of my Reach Local colleagues. We raised about $13.5 million, and today the company has over 80 employees, still here in Dallas, doing really well.
What's it called?
It's called Music Audience Exchange. It's music marketing, technology, brand sponsorships with artists, kind of a wacky business. We're a little crazy. It was the itch we couldn't scratch. We knew it was a weird market to get into, but it's done really well. But I only worked there as a full-time member of that team for just a few short years, because this is kind of the start of my EOS journey. I ended up getting really sick. I got mono, which is super not fun for an adult, and especially not fun when you work 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And you're engaged at the time too. So I just kept getting sicker and sicker. I couldn't heal. It turned chronic. It led to all kinds of cascading health issues. And I just kind of thought that at the time I was done with entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
After that experience, I was convinced it was synonymous with chaos and stress and sacrificing your health and relationships and time for anything else that you might want to do in life. So I kind of got back into my wheelhouse, which is franchise supplier. I worked for Scorpion for 5 years, which was an awesome ride. A rocket ship, had a ton of fun, worked with a lot of great brands. And near the end of that tenure, my good friend, I hope she doesn't mind me calling her out, Shanna Christen, who's the CMO at Goldfish.
I love her.
Yeah. And she turned me on to Traction, which is the book that introduced EOS. And I know Goldfish to be an amazing company, super successful, great people, great culture. So I read the book, and within 20 pages, which for those who don't know, it's Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business, written by Gino Wickman 15 years ago. It introduced EOS to the world. I had two emotions. One was pissed off. I was like, where has this been my whole career? Like, holy moly, there are tools, like practical, actionable stuff that's not theory or conceptual or, rah rah. I don't need any of that. I was just like, do this and run a better business. But I was more inspired to kind of get back into an entrepreneurial venture. So when I left Scorpion after 5 great years there, I joined a little startup agency. Former client and a friend of mine was running and founded. Guy with 8 kids who was also doing that like 80-hour grind. Yeah, 8.
Oh, no.
I always tell him just one more and he'll have like a starting defense or an offense on a football team.
Listen,
And
I always wanted a starting 5. I'm a basketball girl. I was like, done. We'll
you
change,
do not need a starting 11. Yeah.
change sports.
Yeah, he was just killing himself and missing out on a lot of his family stuff. And so he loved traction. I actually joined on the condition that we run EOS, and he read it. And when I joined the company as chief revenue officer, we got real serious about EOS deployment. It took us about 6 months to kind of really breathe it and kind of for it to feel organic and internalize it. But over that 6-month time frame, our revenue velocity, our monthly recurring revenue, almost doubled.
Wow.
And not only was he down to working 40-ish hour weeks, but we made work-life balance a company value, and we capped all of our employees at 40 hours a week. So for me, that was just such like a transformative experience. I found out EOS had become a franchise a few years ago when it was acquired by private equity, and that was like the universe pointing me. I never dreamed. I mean, I've worked with franchises for so many years, and I just never, ever even conceived of the fact that I could be a franchisee, and it like super exciting. So it was the easiest sale EOS ever had. Like Barb, sweet Barb was trying to sell me on it. I'm like, Barb, just send me the FDD, okay? I'm good. Like, let's go. So that's my story.
I love that. And I think I feel like people's how they evolve in their franchise careers always ends up being a collage of things that they care about in their life. Franchising, entrepreneurship, work-life balance, and you're definitely a testament to that. Now, I had no idea what EOS was until I came to Netsertive, and I am EOS's nightmare. I take those personality assessments. I'm like 99% like driver. I just do shit. Don't bog me down with the details. But obviously I'm in the system and I'm like, I can see how this works. I can see, and I'm the type of person I'm like, nope, my work style gets shit done. I don't miss a deadline, but I can see now why companies who don't just have Maddies, they don't just have like it needs to be a full circle thing for the wheel to turn. And before EOS, I never understood that. I'm like, if everyone was just had the work style I had, we'd all get shit done.
Yeah.
And previous to that, I was at Threshold Brands, so Made Pro, which is a franchise. And we always had these company goals, which for EOS purposes would be, rocks. And if we didn't meet them, whatever. And then it became a cycle of no one ever completed them. There was no accountability. There was no action steps. And after I was in the EOS system for a while, I realized like, oh, this is why it works, because there's so many companies out there that don't know how to hold people accountable to goals. It's great to have goals, but they're just dreams unless you make them happen. So talk to me about why EOS for you. I know you said, the traction and, this is great actionable steps that isn't just like change your mindset or pom-poms everywhere. Why did you believe in it? And you really took all your marbles and put it in that basket.
Well, first of all, you and I are kindred spirits. So I'm like exactly like you. Like just go, go, go. Like if for those out there, Colby is the personality assessment that we use. It's like a Strength Finders or a DISC.
Yeah.
And I'm a 3-3-9-4, and a 9 is quick start. So that's my excuse. My wife's sick of me telling her, oh, I'm a 9 quick start. That's why I just didn't read that part of the email or the text and just went.
Yep.
So I get it. And EOS was really made for, I think for people like us to give us a framework to operate within that actually channels our creative energy and our entrepreneurial spirit and our innovation and our aggressiveness and our drive in an efficient and effective way and gives us guardrails. So forgive me for those of you out there who are not basketball fans, but for those of you who are, or even casual fans, you might remember Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan, total dynasty, right? 6 championships. Now when Phil Jackson came into the picture, Jordan had already been winning MVPs and All-Stars and scoring championships. And Jordan was not happy about this new highly structured offense called the triangle offense. Because Jordan, the greatest player in the game at the time, arguably ever, I would say inarguably the most creative artist on the floor, he thought it would put a stranglehold on his creativity and innovation. Instead, what it did was create a framework to unleash his creativity, to channel it all towards achieving a common vision of a dynasty, and created a culture of accountability where he didn't have to carry the whole team on his back. And he knew he could draw a defense in and kick it out to a B.J. Armstrong or Steve Kerr to hit a game-winning 3. So instead of choking his creativity, it actually unleashed it and brought everybody else into the fold and created this framework. So that's what appealed to me about it. It's like, do this, operate in these guidelines, and it almost like once you're good at it, it creates this like self-managing architecture.
And I love that it provides support systems for people like us. So for instance, like my boss, Erin, she's very detailed, very structured, like has everything on lock. I'm like, how do you have time for this? I'm like you, I don't even read a full email. And I'm like, all right, done. And you're right about the kind of harnessing and leading the creative, because now I find myself being able to run with, a project, but I also have the support in that I'm not going to drop the balls in terms of operations or what about this email. And it makes it 100 times better, because now I find myself, I'm able to just go and do it. But I also have everyone on board helping with the support structure. So it's, wildly more successful than if I had just, completed that. And I think that's something that people don't realize with the EOS as well, is they think, oh, I'm going to be bogged down with these meetings, or they want, these planners and stuff. But the whole point of it isn't just for organization purposes, but it's to make everything you do one complete and to be, more successful. So you work with a lot of franchises now still, how, and I know most of our listenership is, franchising and franchising candidates. So why does it work in franchising, especially at a place that has, multi locations? You're at the corporate, maybe you're at a, regional. Why does it work so well with so many moving parts?
Yeah, great question. It creates a common context and a common language, and establishes that sort of baseline that everybody, it kind of flattens the learning curve where everyone can speak the same language and completely understand one another without having any confusion, ambiguity, murkiness, gray areas. It boils down all the complexity in the business and creates a simplicity that is elegant and powerful. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It's a Leonardo da Vinci quote. It's my favorite quote ever, because simplicity is one of the hardest things to achieve in a complex environment, and business is certainly complex. And franchising is like complex to the nth degree because of all the stakeholders. So to create a simplicity and a common thread that connects all the stakeholders and aligns all those interests is pretty powerful. So I actually wrote an EOS for franchising playbook. And there's so much nuance in it for all the use cases around a platform company and how EOS can serve as a catalyst to galvanize a leadership team so that they're not all operating as these little fiefdoms for their own brands and like representing UN or their constituencies in Congress, but actually creating a collective enterprise. Wow. And how EOS can be used by franchisors to support the goals of their franchisees and give them a real, like so many franchisors provide so much great support, but just basic fundamental foundational knowledge on how to run a business, lead and manage people is a missing gap in so many cases. So EOS really can fill that hole and get everybody on the same page. Hey, what are your rocks? Here's what we think your rocks could be. Hey, what kind of scorecard do you use? So franchisees can share knowledge. So I get excited about this. I could talk forever about it. So sorry if I've rambled, but there's so many different use cases where EOS provides a ton of value for franchises.
Well, and I love that you brought up platform brands because this is all the rage in franchising now, whether it's, P&E or however it's structured, that there's, brands that own 2, 3, 4, 20 brands, smaller brands, or I should say there's an umbrella brand that owns 20 brands, and everyone always preaches culture, but culture is so much more than just hugs, smiles, and some team building. It comes from success, it comes from working together, and I see a lot of umbrella brands struggle with that in between their individual brands. They might have it on lock for, like you said, each specific brand, but then when it comes together, it kind of just like goes into a cloud and like poof. You say you're like into basketball. I played professional basketball,
Wow.
team basketball, so it just made me like think of like when LeBron does the chalk. It just kind of goes into the air and doesn't come together. So I think that's going to be, I think EOS or whatever type of structure that may mimic EOS comes about, is going to be very important piece of the culture and making it all work together. So let's say a franchise says, I'm a platform brand. I listen to the podcast. Justin, help me. What is that first process like? Because I started out as a franchisor, I'm a franchisee. I was supplier last. And I realized coming last that a lot of franchisors and Z's are like, don't sell to me. Don't sell to me. What is this? People try to sell us all the time. So, what is your first steps and process with EOS so that they can really realize the value right away? Outside of
Yeah.
obviously trusting you.
Well, by the way, we'll have to talk some basketball shop.
Hell yeah.
I've had 7 knee surgeries, which kind of damaged my career, but played a little ball in my past.
Listen, I have a fully robotic ankle. Between you and me, we'll be fine.
It's like the bionic people. They'll build us better, smarter, faster, stronger, Madeline.
100%.
Yeah. So it's a good question. Um, there's so many different, like franchise is very unique, especially in the EOS world, because it's not an SMB, right? There's not, a 25-person team and we're doing 8 million in revenue and here's our customer and it's just lock and load, let's go.
Right.
So, I mean, I first want to find out where their pain is, where their goals are, and where they want to be, and work with them to determine how EOS can help get them to that envisioned future. Whether it's a platform company that's, as so many are, growing via acquisition, and so you're bringing in a brand that's established and they have their own unique culture, and how do you integrate that, bring on leadership, and create a culture that sort of adds value and applies and kind of bleeds through the entire enterprise, gets everybody marching forward on the same cadence and all those arrows rowing in the same direction, super powerful there. Or it's just a franchisor building a leadership team and wanting to provide a foundation of healthy and smart growth. Or whether it's a franchisor that's wanting to get all their franchisees on the same page and provide, some business coaching and a common platform and shared language for them. So it really all depends. I mean, the first step is just having a conversation. And I do about 5% of the talking, and I want to get 95% of the information so that when I come back to that brand or those stakeholders, I can architect a program that's going to help them accomplish what they want to accomplish.
And what do you say to the people that say, all right, I get it, Justin, fine. I don't have time for this. There's a lot more meetings now. There's a lot more paperwork. Like, I brought you in so that I could get more done, not have more on my plate. How do you, talk through them on that?
So whenever you unwind patterns and behaviors, there's always a little discomfort at first, right? So you're an athlete, so you know that you get this analogy. That first new high intensity training workout that you do sucks.
Miserable.
It's pain and suffering. You're sore as hell the next day. And like so many companies, if you just never do it again because you find something else that some other thing that you read online or Facebook ad, you're going to be hurting, but you're not going to get the value. And if you try to do it again 3 months later, it's going to be the same pain and the same lack of value. So the leadership team needs to be more uncomfortable with the status quo than they are with change, right? Understanding that there is pain and suffering that you're going to go through, but after a week, that workout's going to feel better. After 3 weeks, you're going to look forward to it, and after 6 months, you won't even imagine, like if you miss that workout, something in a day, you just don't feel right. So it takes a while to internalize. There's a little, lifting at first because you're changing stuff. And that's never comfortable. But, you don't hire a nutritionist to feed you cake. So, so if you can make, and I'm there to help.
If only.
I'm there to be my client's champion and to help them through those rough spots and encourage them and coax them and facilitate them and get them to that point where, and that is like the best part of my career, the most gratifying thing, because everyone moves at their own pace, is to see that moment. And always there's a moment, whether it's session number 3 or number 6 or whatever, where it all clicks. And the guy who's been side-eyeing you for 3 months is like the one most excited about it all. That's the best part of this whole gig.
That's me. Oh, what are you making me do? And now we have on Wednesdays at 11, we have our weekly team roundup or whatever. And I'm always like, oh, I'm so excited. I have just so many things to share. And
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So how long would you say on average, and I know it varies greatly depending on industry size, company, but if someone says, okay, this sounds good, I get the uncomfortable thing, I'm ready to invest, what does that time frame look like for you or whoever to come in, set it up, and really get the ball rolling with EOS?
Yeah. We have a proven process. So, there's been 135,000 companies that have, not 135,000 sessions with about 21,000 companies that have worked with implementers like myself over the last 15 plus years. So no one's a guinea pig, right? This has been battle tested, iron sharpens iron stuff. But it's, once I insist on having the whole leadership team do a formal sort of mini session, because even if the founder, the C-level, the CEO is excited, everybody needs to enter into the engagement with that same level of excitement. So I insist on doing a free little mini session that's about an hour and a half. And then if they want to move forward, the whole process up front, it's a little bit front loaded. There's typically 3 full day sessions with the leadership team. And there's 3 within the first 60 days. And then you're on a 90-day cadence. And the goal is to graduate a client so that they no longer need me. They're breathing EOS. It's just the way they move, right? They don't need someone like me any longer. The goal is 10 sessions, full day sessions over the course of a couple years. That's the typical kind of timeline to graduate. But everybody's a snowflake, so everyone moves at a different pace. So
you say depends. Snowflake, and I immediately go to my sports days where I'm they're weak, and I was like, oh no, he means
no, not that kind of snowflake. Unique. Everyone's unique.
I remember my dad being, I don't want to go train today. It's raining now. Okay, you little snowflake.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All
Those
right.
are the best training days when you don't want to do it. That's when you're done is when you're okay.
Yeah, my dad.
That does feel the best.
That's fine. You don't have to go train, but just know that there's somewhere out there where a girl is training today, and I'd be like, "Oh, give me that ball."
Oh yeah, nice. Dad knew how to push your buttons.
Yeah, Dad was It's funny because he's a very tall Asian man, so he's a 6'6", just Korean stoic guy. That's just the most stereotypical. I got a 98 on a calc exam once, and I was like, "Dad, check it out," and he just looks at me and goes, "Where'd the other 2 points go?"
Oh my gosh.
Thankfully, you ended up being like my best friend because that could have gone south very quick.
Right. Tiger Dad.
Yeah. So, we're coming up on time, but I have a couple more questions for you. So, what's next for you and this EOS journey? Because I know that you guys are, like you said, you're iron sharpening iron. You've got your proven process. People know you. You're a franchise now. What's next?
Good question. I mean, I'm really excited about the adoption of EOS in the franchise community, and I'm really growing that not only externally but within the EOS community as well. So I've started a group of EOS implementers. We have a franchise cohort. So we run EOS meetings internally. We IDS. We share experience. We, for those who don't know, IDS is identify, discuss, solve. It's a problem-solving sort of framework. We share experiences, we collaborate, and what I'm really doing is building a group of people internally that I trust and I know are committed to franchising. So when all franchisees or franchisors who want to work with someone locally, because I don't want to travel forever and all over, I can say, oh, I know of Brittany who's in Southern California and she's part of the franchise group and is perfectly positioned to help you.
Hmm.
So really just continuing to grow the franchise space. I've created this franchise playbook with all the nuances and use cases of EOS relative to a franchisee, a platform company, a single brand. That's continuing to evolve. So it's just who knows where the space will go, but like being on the bleeding edge of that, the tip of that spear is just a ton of fun. It's what fires me up every day.
I love that. And for people who are just starting their research journey, say this, I'm sure there's some CEOs listening, COOs saying, "All right, I'll check this out." What's your biggest piece of advice as they're starting this journey of being more uncomfortable with the status quo than change? What is your advice to them beginning to start this journey?
Yeah, great question. Take a step back, take a clarity break, take a day, a half day, and ask yourself some hard questions. Kind of get outside of your head, leave your ego at the door, and really look down at your business and yourself with a vulnerability and an honesty about where your blind spots are and your deficiencies. And don't beat yourself up for your deficiencies because you should be leaning into your strengths. Lean into where you add the most value and what will keep your cup full, your energy and your passion and your enthusiasm alive. And that's what's going to give you sustainable energy to add that value. So once you kind of have that objective, honest conversation with yourself, then I would just read Traction. I mean, that's the tome, right? Or you can get in touch with me if you'd like, or anybody else with EOS. And then once you have that sort of frame of mind, that gives you an opportunity to absorb the material and the content. And honestly, Madeline, like whether you use EOS or something else, pick a model, lean in, and commit to it. That's the big thing. Like EOS is great. There are other models that work well. Pick a model, commit, be open and honest, surround yourself with leaders that are going to be honest with you, create that healthy conflict, and you're ready to rock and roll.
I love it. And it's so true. You really have to lean in. My husband operates our four brands, so we have like a million locations. And he uses EOS and he has like severe ADHD. I mean, it is like driving squirrel. And it's allowed him to the fact that he's leaned in all the way, he is committed to it. It wasn't something that I was like, oh, this EOS is gonna pick it up and drop it. Nope. He was like, nope, I need this. I'm gonna go all the way, and it's gonna become a staple. And it's so true. If you don't really truly do it and dive into it, yeah, it'll just be something else on your plate. But if you say, like you said, take a clarity break and say, nope, this is something I have to commit to, that definitely makes all the difference. Justin, if people want to connect with you, where should they go?
Yeah, thanks for asking. You can just look me up on LinkedIn. I post every day, mostly EOS nuggets. So just look up Justin Mink on LinkedIn, or you can go to EOS Worldwide / Justin Mink.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
my two final questions for you. If you had a piece of advice to give to a franchisee, what would that be? And if you had a piece of advice to give to a franchisor, what would that be?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot here. For a franchisee, right people, right seats. Right people, right seats. Don't worry about strategy just yet. All you really need to concern yourself are people who believe in the same things you do, who want to be on the journey that you want to be on and want to help you get to that place, that mountaintop, that championship, and who embrace accountability in the seat that they're in the company, right? So if, like, culture beats strategy, eat strategy for breakfast. Once you get the right people in the right seats on the bus, you can figure out where you're going together. So that's for a franchisee, like, build that rock star team and make sure that you clearly define the values you have that are intrinsic to your DNA, and you clearly define the accountabilities of everybody in your org chart and your accountability chart. So for a franchisor, I would say provide that support to your franchisees. Whether it's EOS or something else, not only will it fill a gap or clear up a blind spot, but it'll differentiate your brand as an opportunity for franchise candidates when you are providing ongoing coaching and really helping kind of give these guys wings to run a better business, live a better life, and get more of what they want from your franchise opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. Software, ops training, ops manual, collective buying, branding, market, all that is awesome. But really at the foundational level, helping these guys, give them a framework to more easily manage and lead people, create a vision, run a better business, like, it's invaluable.
I love it. And that is like a perfect mic drop. Justin, thank you for joining us today. I look forward to watching you grow in the franchise space. And dear God, get every franchise on EOS, because it would also make my life a whole lot easier. Thanks again.
I'm trying.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by Netsertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netsertive.com.